there been like lately, I guess, in the last 24 hours? Has it been even more? Has it been less? And how's he doing, actually?
It's been, it's been similar all along, pretty steady flow of communication, but at the same time, respecting his privacy and his ability to use his time to, get to where he needs to get to. Just talking about just the management of the team, on a day-to-day basis, following up on what we did yesterday and talking about some of the nuances of tonight.
It's interesting about this is that you just saw OKC like last week. Yeah. Not like he's got to like plan too far back or looking far back or haven't seen anything. They got a lot of guys out too, so I'm just curious how you're even approaching it with not having guys and then not having guys. Again, not to keep revisiting all this, but it does truly remind me of when I was coaching the minor leagues. And the biggest thing I learned there was like you coach who you have and you play against who's in front of you. And with them, Shea is obviously a very dynamic player, and he's a guy we got to give a lot of attention to. So from this guy's in, that guy's in. I mean, again, you prepare for what you're faced with, and they have a guy who's really hard to stop, and that's where a lot of our focus is on.
I wanted to ask you about the campaign. If you look at the shooting numbers, are down compared to last year, but like we saw the other night, when he gets rolling, just kind of the impact that he can have. He's one of those energy guys, and it seems like when he's playing well, it's sort of infectious. Just what have you seen from him so far this season in terms of his offensive impact?
I think, first of all, you nailed it with the energy. Like I even said something to him kind of jokingly a couple of weeks ago about, man, hey, Cam, like when you get going and you get hyped, it gets me hyped, and it gets the whole last game, it got the whole arena kind of going. So, it's infectious. I just think the biggest thing for him is just staying aggressive, but doing it where it's not reckless, kind of towing that line. Because as we saw even in some huge games last year, he helped us tremendously with that. And that game the other night, he helped us tremendously with it. So I think, it's towing that line. And when he does it well, he's an X factor for us.
How much does that kind of impact his teammates? Because, you look at pregame warm-ups and dancing all the time and music, it seems like he's one of those guys that would rub off on his teammates that way as well.
Yeah, I think he is for sure. I think that comes up more like in the heat of the moment. Like he got him kind of going in the huddle the other night. But as far as the pregame stuff, I think it's at this point everyone just kind of that's Cam. You know what I mean? But it's cool though because he just different guys have different ways to get going, and that's kind of his way of getting ready to go. So I think they kind of respect it.
When you look around the league and see teams with, 8 guys and have to sign guys and roster management there, are you having extra conversations with the team, just kind of pointing that out, letting them be a little more safer than, might even normally be so, that situation?
I mean, we really haven't had to do that a ton. I mean, Chris has actually done that for us in a lot of ways where it's, hey, let's be smart. Obviously everyone sees what's going on. And you just try to protect yourself the best way that you can. And I think, our guys are aware of that. And, nobody wants to see anybody get sick. And so everyone's trying to be as safe as they can.
How much does your day change just driving into the arena and taking over this role?
The biggest thing from being an assistant coach to being a head coach is just the amount of decisions that you have to make. When you're an assistant, you do a lot of suggesting, and that's your job. And whether the head coach does it or not, that's his decision to make. I joke with my wife sometimes, like when I was a head coach for years in the minors, I'd come home and she'd ask me what I want for dinner. And I said, I do not want to make another decision. I could care less what we eat. So I'm not quite there yet with this one, but maybe I'll be there in a couple of days. But that really is the biggest difference. And your mind is always going because you are thinking about, a lot of those decisions.
Yeah, with your guys out, Jalen Smith played well the other night. Is he in a similar role in the rotation tonight?
Yeah, he is. He will be. I thought for a young man who hasn't had a lot of opportunity to come in, like I said, after that game and play a lot of minutes and produce in those minutes, certainly gained the confidence of his teammates. Book said something to me yesterday about that. So that was great. And he'll be able to, hopefully give a similar production tonight, but the role essentially should be very similar.
coach with the guys out, sort of by default, you've had to look to 3-guard lineups and sometimes even 4. What do you think are the keys to maximizing that kind of thing?
Yeah, I talked to some of the guys about that today. Guys that may be in those roles that maybe they aren't used to in terms of our normal rotations. But, I think everyone's aware of things are different right now, and we'll try to clean it up a little bit. Like I think I mentioned that it got a little, the flow wasn't as much as I wanted it to be in the first quarter. So we'll try to clean that up a little bit. And I think that'll help guys, be a little bit more comfortable.
As a coach who has helped a lot with the design of the offense, how have you liked the guys' ability to turn on the pace when they need to? I noticed already in that role last game, you were every possession just letting the guys stick out.
Yeah, you play against some of these really good defensive teams. Memphis is much improved defensively. OKC is similar in terms of how much they try to pack the paint. So anytime we can get out and go and run, we're able to, we feel like, get better looks at times. That fourth quarter really allowed us to do that. So that's definitely something we want to, keep on the forefront.
So just piggybacking off what you asked about the 4-guard, I think it was Devin, Landry, and Chris. How did you like that? To look at in that stretch of time they were out there.
The real say the lineup again.
I think it was Booker, Shannon, Payne,
Yeah,
Paul,
yeah. That was a short-lived lineup.
Right.
That was a short-lived lineup. I was really hoping to keep Mikal or Cam out there, and that's it. Cam Johnson in that situation. So that's probably more what it would look like as we move forward. That's really the biggest thing you're missing. Really, with Jay out, with Wainwright being out, you're kind of missing that bigger body. So, perhaps Mikal can give us a little bit of that with his length and so forth.
And the other thing I have is you talked about, getting used to this going on the road there. That's going to be another situation being on a road trip. So you feel like you'd be even more comfortable doing that at that time, because it is a different dynamic when you do go on the road.
It is, but at the same time, once the ball, honestly, like once the ball goes up, you're coaching the game. It could be anywhere, you know what I mean? And so you get lost in it. I really don't think about that kind of stuff. I just try to, do the best I can at whatever the task at hand is, and whether it might be a little bit more noisy on the road or whatever, you just get lost in what you're doing.
I guess what I mean is for the planning part.
Okay.
As a head coach, you would have that responsibility of being a head coach before. I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, fair question. That's one of the things I'm tasked to do is help out with some of those logistics. Preseason, I talk with our guys who plan all that, just to be a kind of the coach in the room that gives input on that. So pretty involved in that. Prior to this, as I said before, now I'm actually making the call as opposed to suggesting what the call may be. So we've already been talking about that kind of stuff. And, to be honest with you, that's where I really lean on Monty as well. We'll talk about the logistics side of it, just to try to keep the same rhythm of what we would normally do.
Coach, in talking back about Cam, especially in the starter role now, has there been any further discussion about, he's such an unselfish player? Has there been a discussion about being a little more unselfish, because he's shooting the ball so well, playing so well right now, and with Jay being out and being in the starting role, it would seem that there are shots available for him to take.
Yeah, and I wouldn't just limit that to him either. I think there's a couple of guys that are too unselfish at times. It's something that we definitely talk to the group about. We'd like to see the guy, if they're open, shoot it. This is a program that encourages that, and we have a roster full of guys that can make shots. But to your point on Cam Johnson, he does pass up a couple, but what we love about him is, he always seems to find some in the fourth quarter, where we really need a bucket, need a big three. He seems to really step up in those moments. So I think he'll just continue to get more and more confident in that.
Is that rare, Coach, that a guy that's passing up shots first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter he just he just started letting it slide. I mean, he's done it before this year. I mean, is that a rare thing, or maybe I'm reading too much?
You know, I don't have a great answer for that. I think a lot of it is just the flow of the game. You know, I was talking to a few of the guys about it yesterday, like, hey, you know, I thought you passed up a couple of good looks, and a lot of it is very situational. Like if you go back and watch that game, I mean, Memphis was really running us off the 3-point line, you know, early on in the game. I think it kind of got into their heads a little bit, like, oh, every time I catch it, someone's going to be running at me. And I think it's a growth thing for some of the guys that have to understand that, you know, before you were maybe not, your role wasn't as big. You weren't on the scouting report as much. You might have open looks. Now all of a sudden, everyone's got a target on your back, and it's a lot harder to get shots off. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that young shooters have to really like study that and understand how small their window is to get good looks off. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.